Hey everybody, welcome to a new podcast called Roomy's Garage, and I'm your host Roomy. First name Hussein, but everybody calls me Roomy. It's my last name, nothing really creative. I'm also with my producer and co-host Peter.
Hey yo, that's me.
And my nephew, if you might see him in the back, he's taking behind the scene photos. So man, how you been?
Good, yeah, staying busy. Not too much going on though in terms of regular life, just working and hanging out. So yeah, how about you?
Just living life, you know. Man, I constantly get new jobs lately.
Yeah.
This job market is just one job is better than another, and I'm only working at a place for a weekend.
Yeah.
Boom, it's to the next one, which is making my previous employers pissed.
I'm sure. Yeah, resume's a couple of feet long, I'm sure.
For sure. So we want to. The reason why we call it Roomy's Garage, because back in usually the hangout spot where we talk about politics, entertainment, everything is my garage. That's where the crew hangs out. So that's where I came up with the idea. It's nothing mechanical, so don't get it confused.
Yeah, it's not secretly a car podcast.
No, I wish. So let's get to it. I want to talk about Space Jam, which everybody's like. There's some people like it, some people don't.
The people who like it were paid to tweet that they like it.
Maybe. So my issue with it is, okay, let me start off with the good things about it. The animation was pretty good. I think Don Cheadle was great. The Don, he was pretty good in it. What else?
Yeah, for context, I haven't seen the movie. I've just seen like clips on TikTok and YouTube. So I think it's funny because I have a totally much. And I felt like watching the clips. I was like, well, I feel like I've seen it because I've seen the funny moments, and then other than that, I'm not really interested.
So the issue with it is, it was one, like you remember Space Jam? They were making fun of Michael Jordan in the beginning,
right?
Like it was self-deprecating.
Well, the whole movie is kind of poking fun at him.
Yeah, because
like
he was
switching.
like, why did you go to baseball? It was like hilarious.
Yeah,
and this one. It was like stroking LeBron's ego. You could tell like he's like, hey, you're not going to make a fool out of me. He kept on referring to himself as King James.
In the movie?
Yeah, like you know how they King LeBron?
Yeah.
So it's like even Don Cheadle, I can't believe he did it, bro. Because he was like, hey, it's King James. I'm like, bro.
That's wild.
I don't know what people's fascination with kings are. Because most kings are tyrants.
Sure.
Like 98% of kings are tyrants. There's a few historically kind of just kings, but they usually get killed off.
Yeah, and mostly I find it really weird that the movie that he's a starring role in, he would be so insistent on his own title being such a big, glorious thing.
It's like it shows highlights from his actual life, his accolades, and like he's always doing this like weird like tough father thing with the kids, which is like...
And it's not even his real kid in the movie.
I don't think so, is it?
No, it's not. I saw a picture of his real kid, and the kid kind of looks like him, but it's not. They cast another actor, so that's what makes it more bizarre.
Almost seemed like the kid that played him as a kid in the beginning is the same kid that's playing as his son. I don't know if it is.
Oh, maybe. Because that's in...
The kid was actually good.
In Space Jam at the beginning, he also is... It's Michael Jordan as a kid, right? Yeah. Yeah, the thing with Space Jam, like you said, like it's poking fun at his switching careers. It's poking fun at like... the idea of him playing this game with cartoon characters, and that makes it like, of course he's the best in the game because he's a professional player, but then they're all better than him at the game in the end. So it's not like self-indulgent. It's just a funny movie that happens to star a baseball or a basketball player,
and he was kind of pretty good acting in it too.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not bad. Which
is funny considering, as far as I know, like people say Michael Jordan is not like the nicest guy to be around. Like he seems to do a pretty good job in that movie.
It's not really he just has a zero tolerance for BS.
Oh,
he's just one of those guys like, hey, I worked hard, you get hard. I'm not handing out like, because I think even Charles Barkley in one he was like, yeah, some dude was begging, and he wanted to go give him money. Then Michael Jordan grabbed him like, no. He's like, what? He's like, if he could say, give me $5, he could say, would you like to make fries with that?
Sure.
So that's just his mentality, which is kind of weird. Like, if you're not gonna give, let people give. But
yeah,
it's just he's not politically motivated. He doesn't.
Right.
He's not into social issues. He's just like, hey man, I'm a billionaire. I'm gonna play this role.
Yeah. At that point, when you're
I
Michael
respect
Jordan,
it though.
You can do whatever.
At least he's not being fake.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So back to the movie.
Yeah.
The other issue with the movie is it's not consistent. So they kind of didn't acknowledge the previous Space Jam.
Okay.
But then in a weird clip, because none of them knew how to play basketball, which is weird.
Right.
He had to train them and everything, which is kind of weird.
Since that's the plot
only
of the first one.
what's the girl bunny?
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny. She's the only one that was like good at basketball, which is kind of like how the previous movie was.
Yeah.
The other issue with it is they kind of did hint it. So if you guys see the clip, it's all over TikTok, so I'm not really spoiler alert. Sylvester the cat.
Oh yeah. This is the best clip I've seen.
It was hilarious. So he's like, "Yeah, I found him. He was in the crowd. Michael Jordan," and it's Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. I mean, that's hilarious.
But then he says in it, he's like, "Yeah, it's been 25 years."
Yeah.
If you remember in the clip, he said it's been 25 years.
Yeah.
But that acknowledges the previous Space Jam, which you didn't acknowledge throughout the whole movie.
Right.
Which is weird to me.
Yeah, that's the piece of context I didn't have. I thought when they played that scene, that's the culmination of several references to Space Jam, the original movie. No. But it's just a joke.
It's like he was trying to. It's like a reboot of Space Jam. It's not like a continuation.
So then it's dumb because it's like, why make a Michael Jordan joke if you're not acknowledging it and you're rebooting it? Why? Yeah. There's no other franchise or world where you can do that, and it makes sense.
I think the movie without LeBron would have been better.
Yeah.
His acting wasn't
as just like a Looney Tunes movie?
No, first of all, they should have never did it with Looney Tunes.
Sure.
Because LeBron is this generation's Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Like, even his shoes, like, I don't really mess with the shoes like that because I don't like their style, kind of. Yeah. But in 10, 15 years, they might be retros. And this generation, when they get older, they might want to throw back to the, like, we like the Jordan 1s and stuff.
Right,
because I grew up on the Jordan 1s, the Jordan 4s.
Yeah.
So I could see that. He's this generation's Michael Jordan. One issue is, his acting wasn't that good. He was better in that one movie. What was it with Amy Schumer and Bill Hader?
Not
Trainwreck?
Trainwreck? Is he in it? I've never seen it.
Yeah, he was like in it, and the dude was like a foot doctor or something for the NBA.
The thing is, any sports player as an actor in a movie, it's so hard to do because everybody in entertainment nowadays especially thinks that if they can do one thing, they can do everything. So LeBron probably was like, I'll take this movie because I'm just as good as Michael Jordan.
I think some people are just good in clips.
Right.
Or like a comedy.
Yeah.
Because it kind of made fun of him being cheap and stuff, so he was more likable in that movie.
Yeah.
In this movie, he was just this hardline father. Like, you got to work for everything. You got to put in work. And the dialogue wasn't that good.
Mm. I think if you took... The thing is, when I saw that clip of the Michael B. Jordan joke...
That was hilarious.
It was hilarious, and I thought I could be totally fine if all they made was this as a little sketch. And that was the entire movie. It's just a 2-3 minute joke where they're like, we're going to play a game with LeBron, and then he finds Michael Jordan, and it's Michael B. Jordan. That's it.
Yeah, that would have been...
And it feels like that calls back to the original, and it brings, whatever... But the fact that and then from what I've read online, which is a couple articles and seen some clips and things, it seems like it's a very like self-indulgent Warner Brothers promo. That everything they do in that movie is like, remember all these properties we own. And that is I feel like that breaks the whole thing. Because the point of the original Space Jam is it's very specific to Looney Tunes as the characters. And they do character work in that movie, which is surprising considering it's just a silly comedy, but like I don't know, I feel like I would wish that would be it, that they wouldn't.
There's also I think LeBron or whoever reviewed the video didn't really make sense, like didn't really pay attention, because there was one instant where LeBron was going hard on them and they're like, hey man, we're loony, this is how we play.
Sure.
So he was being like hard on them and he's like, oh, so you're that kind of king. If you know what I mean, like you're this, like you're being a tyrant. You're too self-involved. So I'm surprised they let that slip in.
Yeah.
Because like if you really focus, I'm like, oh, so I think somebody in the writer room was like, this dude is, like he's too involved, even probably in the creative process.
So does the movie wrap up with an arc about LeBron being like humbled?
No, it's just him like letting loose and being funny, but he's still like, hey, I'm this amazing guy. Because look what I did.
That's what makes the original Space Jam land so well, is that it's a humbling piece for Michael Jordan, that at the end he has to pull off that ridiculous move to win, and for him that's like, I didn't think it was possible for me to play like this, but now I can, and that's like that's a good payoff. It's obviously all cloaked in just
it's kind of similar to that, but it's not.
But like they really pay it off because they spend the whole movie of him agonizing over like his career choices and what he's doing and all that stuff. So it's a really solid ending. So if that's not how they are able to pay it off the same way, even if they just copy that and do something that's like kind of the same but not the same, that's dumb too.
I just think I'm trying to think what kind of cartoon in this age. Like if he did it like playing basketball with SpongeBob or something more kids are used to, I think it would have been a lot funnier. And my thing, this goes with, well, I mean, just that movie. It wasn't bad. Like it wasn't the worst movie ever.
Sure.
So by no means.
But it's just
a disappointment because I thought it could be better.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't so in the commercial, like the ads, like you can clearly like it's not even that subtle because there was one where he's like turns to a cartoon and lands. You know how like they land and create a crater?
Yeah.
And it's a Nike sign.
Oh my god.
Which is weird. You know what I'm saying? Like. Yeah. That's weird. Like you could have just put a Nike jersey and that would have made sense. Like
one of the other clips that I saw is I think near the end they're getting the team together and Rick and Morty drop the Tasmanian
Devil. That was the
off.
funny part.
I think that's funny, but also that's one where that is going to unjustly make people hate Rick and Morty. Yeah. It makes it feel like an advertisement, and the commercialization of that show is exactly what has made the fan base so toxic.
Exactly. It's just, but the issue is like, it's just too much ad, and like you said, it's like basically Warner Brothers saying, "Look at all the amazing stuff we did." Because at one point they had like every character there.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of good parts, like where they met Superman. It was really interesting. There was a lot of good parts.
Who plays Superman?
I forgot.
Is it a cartoon?
The cartoon version.
Oh, that's okay. Well, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, there was like a lot of good references to like Batman and.
What it reminds me of, though.
Harry Potter got a reference in it too.
Okay. What it reminds me of, though, is other movies that have come out that are very clearly just a showcase for properties, like Ready Player One, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. There's another one that I can't remember, but just movies where the whole point. Adam Sandler did that movie Pixels a couple years ago.
Yep.
And it's just movies where the whole point of sitting down to watch it is, oh, look, I know what that is. And that's it. And I don't think those movies can ever really work. I mean, even, well, I guess the only good example I have is the Lego movie, where the first one, where that one is actually a pretty solid movie. But I think it's solid because it's narrowed down to specific Lego properties. Exactly. So they can use a specific set of characters, but they take that as a chance to tell a good story rather than using it as a substitute for a story.
Exactly.
So with Space Jam, they don't feel like they have to tell a good story because they're like, we'll just have a ton of characters show up and that will make people in the theater be like, oh, I know who that is, and that's it.
I mean, it's just another issue with it is just how do I put this? It's just not good. Like it's not the worst movie. Like I wouldn't say it's the worst movie.
Sure.
Like a lot of people are hating too much, and I don't like how LeBron was like, "Hey haters, 32 million first week."
Right.
And I'm like, you're LeBron James.
Yeah.
You're gonna get that. China alone, because you're so bent over backwards for them. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get that, but doesn't mean we can't criticize the art.
Anytime you have to flex sales numbers to defend what you made. It's not good.
I think Spider-Man 4 or something was like grossed pretty good. Like it was a success box office, but it was like one of the most hated Spider-Mans.
Right.
So people are going to watch it because they're intrigued. Yeah. Like I watched it because, I watched Space Jam. I watched it before it too. Yeah. The older Space Jam. So I'm like, man, it's just, I think it could have been done better if his ego wasn't involved.
Yeah. And that's what makes it interesting is, I mean, could they have done it with another player? Obviously, the name recognition isn't really there. If Kobe was around,
What's his name?
Maybe.
What's his name? He moved to the Pistons.
I don't know.
Blake Griffin.
Yeah, sure.
Blake Griffin would have been like actor wise, but I don't think it would have sold as well.
That's the only problem is you can't do it without having the biggest name in basketball.
Dude, you just need an acting class.
I know, and he probably went into it the same way Michael Jordan probably did, which is, well, I'm Michael Jordan, I'm LeBron James. I'm just going to do it, and it's going to be great because it's me.
I don't know,
and
man.
That's just not sustainable.
I'm going to be honest with you. I know, like, one of the things why I still love Jordan is because people, like, say he's an asshole, but in Space Jam, he wasn't, really.
Yeah. No, it's a very humbling project.
You know what I'm saying? So this one is just like, hey, I'm LeBron James, King James, call me King James. I'm the best. I did this, and that, and my kids got to work just as hard as me. And it's like, dude, are they really?
Right.
You know, but I don't see him acting more.
Yeah, I probably not. I mean, he probably, hopefully, from this.
The problem is like being that tall is very hard. Like, what role can you roll for? Like, he can only play LeBron James.
The only time I've seen a basketball player in a movie and they absolutely just blew me away with the performance is Uncut Gems. And it's a basketball player playing himself playing basketball, and that's it. And that's why it's perfect.
Yep.
That's a really good movie, but specifically that his part in it, it's so convincing because he's just being himself, and that's all he has to do.
Or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fighting Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
He didn't really talk much, but...
Sure. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, there's no... I mean, the only way to pull that off is to say, if you're good at this thing, then do that thing. And that's why when you get... I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, like... what's it called? A Star is Born is, like, not the worst movie ever. Like, it's pretty decent. And I think what makes that work is that is a musician acting as a musician. So then you're good because they're
that movie was actually really good.
Yeah.
The only issue with it is people didn't get the point of the movie.
Okay.
So people always seem to like it was about him being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And he eventually took his life.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like a kind of Kurt Cobain type of vibe.
Sure.
But the issue is they didn't get the other point of the movie is like. Because he says, like, you only have a certain time to captivate the audience, so why you're shaking your ass?
Right,
You know what I'm saying? Stick to the art.
Yeah.
And it was talking about how, like, a woman, like, once they get into Hollywood, they kind of sell themselves because that's what the producer and that's what everybody's telling them, their agents and everything.
Right.
But it's like, if you stick to the art, you're an artist that would transcend your life.
Yeah.
So nobody ever mentioned that. They just, he got drunk and they sang together.
Right.
It was actually a very good movie. The last one with Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
And I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
And the music in it is pretty good.
Yeah, I like the music. I've heard a couple of the songs and it's pretty decent. It's exactly that. It's like...
But I really think this is not made for an American audience.
I mean,
Space
definitely
Jam.
not. It's something to showcase properties. It's going to get shown to investors. You can bet that as time goes on, Warner Brothers will use Space Jam as a way to say, look, like, we are a powerhouse studio. Especially as we get closer to a total Disney monopoly, the fact that they have any characters to show off is important. So they'll use this movie to say, hey, remember, we do still have a big share of culture space.
Exactly. And like, hey, Disney, if you want to...
Right. Yeah, the sequel to this could be the Disney Warner Brothers crossover, you know? Like, it's
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I just wasn't the greatest. But it brings me to my next point is how much is like consumerism and the commercialization of art affecting the movie industry? Because honestly, I can't remember like a last great movie.
I know. Well, I think they do come out, but the issue is that they don't get the platform
Maybe
that
that
they
too.
need. And the one criticism that I don't think can be levied at the Oscars is that they do tend to showcase, not all the time, there are definitely instances where they don't do this, but they do tend to showcase movies that didn't get the mass appeal or the mass viewership, I guess, where it may not have been the best movie of the year, but at least it's a platform for an independent film that isn't bought and paid for by Coca-Cola.
True.
You know?
My also issue with the Oscars is this woke culture. Because it's like, I see what you're doing. I'm not saying the movies don't deserve it.
Right.
But you'll give like, it was ridiculous because they gave best comedy to like The Martian.
Right.
And or like best musical to The Martian. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Best costume design. It was just him in a spacesuit.
Right.
I can understand that, but it's like sometimes it's like, nobody really watched that movie.
Yeah.
And you're just...
That's
like,
the
I can
thing.
see what you're doing. It's like, I want movies that actually are good.
Yeah. And it blew my mind when I found out that a lot of, or all, like, war or action movies that take place, like, in other countries or have soldiers in them are all paid for by the Department of Defense. That they fund a lot of the Marvel movies, they fund a lot of those. So even that is, like, that's not whatever. That's not,
It's
Nestle or whatever paying for
it's recruitment to the military.
Yeah, but it's still bought and paid for. Everything we watch is paid for by somebody, and everybody wants a stake in their representation of that. Now, I think that advertising has gotten a hell of a lot better in some respects, in that, like, when you watch a YouTuber and they get a sponsorship, I think that's like the purest form of advertisement, because they are disclosing to you, hey, I'm doing an advertisement. I have to pay my bills. So you know that I'm going to work with a company that's going to pay me, and they're trying to get their product out there. But also, I'm going to endorse this thing publicly. And so my reputation is on the line for endorsing this. So if I'm a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers and I'm like, hey, this pair of headphones you should absolutely buy, I have a personal stake in that, and the company has a personal stake in finding a YouTuber who's not out there being a terrible person.
True.
So then... And then the viewer knows not only that it is an advertisement, but that this person that they like watching will endorse this product. So it's like, okay, well, if I trust them and what they do, then I'll look into it. That is the purest form.
Of course.
But if you were watching a YouTuber and they were just not telling you that it was an advertisement, and they were just constantly promoting something,
or they constantly have them in their ears,
right, exactly. That's immediately it gets shady. Like, that's like one step further, and it's like, nope, that's weird. That's too far. So in movies, I think it's the same thing. If you watch Space Jam, you have to go into it knowing, okay, I'm gonna see a 90-minute advertisement, so that I remember, oh, I should go watch Superman cartoons. Well, where can I find those? Well, only Warner Brothers, sells the DVDs or has them on streaming platforms or whatever. And you go through every other property they have. That's an ad for them.
Exactly. Yeah, because somebody might see a cartoon or something like, hey, I wonder what that is.
Right. Yeah, or you'll think of it and be like, oh, I used to watch that when I was a kid. That's crazy that they have that. I want to go find that. And it's going to drive traffic. I don't know how it all breaks down, what the web is, but Warner Brothers and some of their stuff is on HBO Max. And they don't have a dedicated streaming service, but their stuff is around, and it puts money in their pocket anytime you watch something.
Also, I think is people are really not into movies.
Yeah.
Like they used to be. That's why like the only good like movies that sell are like the Marvel and because they transition to the global market better.
Yeah.
Because even in Iraq, like, my aunt knew who Thor was.
Yeah.
And Iron Man, and they seen them all translated.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best translations, but they understand who Thor is, whatever, and they've been watching all those movies.
Yeah.
It makes more sense. Like, they can't relate to a drama about a transition teen.
Sure.
In America. This might be the most cinematically best movie, because, like, drama-wise, like, people in China can't relate, because, first of all, they don't even believe in the existence of trans.
Sure.
Because of the government.
Well, that's the other thing about...
But, you know what I'm saying? But these things don't relate. So they need movies with less substance and more action.
Yeah, so when it's paid for like that and then shipped overseas, it just gets edited to hell. And that is why independent filmmakers, I think, get discouraged from making projects they're passionate about. Because to make the amount of money to justify getting a wide release, they'd have to cut out things that oftentimes are just part of the storytelling process. If you're a director in America and you're like, I want to make a story about a person coming out as an adult for the first time to their family, and it's really traumatic, and this happens to them or whatever, you already know that outside of the United States, and even outside of like the north of the United States, that movie is not going to do well. You're immediately discouraged from making it,
of course,
and knowing that it won't get an international release, or if it does, it'll get butchered to hell, and then it's it just de-incentivizes it. Whereas if you're like, I'm going to make a movie where we blow up a building and there's, big explosions and mystical creatures, and it's just there's no substance, I'll make millions of dollars. I'll just do that.
Because people don't realize that you don't have to like the movie to watch it. So they just make a movie with a buzz, like Space Jam.
Yeah.
It had this buzz, and people are going to watch it. So whether they like it or not, they got their money.
Right.
So I think that's what's going on. It's like, we're not going to make good movies. We're just going to make movies to get people to pay to watch.
And we're going to make movies that have either a controversial or an aspect that generates buzz. So with Space Jam, you're like, we're just going to make a movie that's a sequel to a very beloved movie. So then it doesn't matter if it's good or not. People, out of pure curiosity, are going to watch it.
Oh, 100%. I would watch it just to bash it.
Right. And for them, they're like, I don't care why you watch it. That's money in my pocket.
Exactly. And, I'm the idiot who's watching it.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's how they got me. But I kind of because I'm a commentator on what's going on, so I have to watch it.
Yeah.
But I should have illegally streamed it. Just joking. I got HBO Max, but I'm like, bro, it's just one of those things where you're like, I should have not watched it.
Yeah. Who knows if it's worth it or what will happen in the coming years is like everybody figures out how to make movies in it. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to a point where, like YouTube, there's a way to make movies with authentic, good sponsorships, and you can balance it out where people have an enjoyable viewing experience. But right now, it's just like any major movie is paid for by a big company, and then that means they get creative control to send it overseas and cut out anything that they don't like, and then there's no artistic vision to it because there's no reason for there to be artistic vision. Everyone's going to watch it no matter what.
That's true. Well, and the thing is like, I don't like how they depict, like, Muslims in the media. Yeah. Because, bro, they have, like, weird stuff that's, like, I don't know what is with the writers, but it's, like, the weirdest thing. They had a girl who, like, you know, like, most Muslims, before they eat, they would say, in the name of God. Sure. This chick literally was drinking alcohol. And they're, like, broke her fast with alcohol, and she was like, no Muslim, like, even people that drink. Yeah. Usually Muslims don't drink in Ramadan, even the ones that do. Yeah. And the thing is, you would not start your drink, take a shot, and say, in the name of God. Yeah. It's just weird stuff like that. Or it's like, I don't mean to be like, this is where I can guess, like, I can agree with some woke culture. It's like, it's always like a Muslim girl, like, hooking up with, like, a white dude or, like, an African-American dude, because that's controversial. Right. And it's just, like, triggering this thing is like, oh, they want to present their perspective on what a Muslim woman should do. Right. And it's like, I'm not trying to, like, Muslim men are vilified, just like how black men used to be vilified in the media. Yeah. Now it's like Muslim men are vilified and everybody's, like, embracing the Muslim woman. Yeah, you could wear your scarf and be at a bar. Right, right. And it's like, no, but a Muslim woman that goes to a bar usually would just not wear a scarf. Sure. And the point being in all of it, in the way that we send movies overseas and present them to people, you can't, just like the government of those countries shouldn't crack down on them because of one thing that happens in a movie. Filmmakers shouldn't be like, I'm going to make a character that represents everyone in this demographic. It's like, don't do that. Just make characters that are a character themselves. People are going to make individual choices. So one of the reasons why I don't watch that show Roomy is because it's like really like they do controversial things that just depicts like, I'm not saying some of that stuff doesn't exist within the culture, but it's such a minute. Yeah. Like he was with Mashallah Ali's character. I'm telling you, just from this clip, I'm like, I'm turned off by the show. So he's like, hey, I slept with this married lady. And I'm like, first of all, we don't have confessions in Islam. Like, you're supposed to keep your sins to yourself because one of the things is like a Muslim or a believer does not expose himself. Like, you just repent and that's it between you and God. Yep. So the thing is that confession is like just weird. So he's just mean mugging him like, what? He's like, yeah, but it was after, like, I broke my fast. Like, after. So it's like, that's supposed to make it better. Sure. And it's just like, you're depicting like the most extreme, like, things that go on. And I'm not saying, like, people are sex deprived, people do whatever. Sure, people do whatever. But it's not something you should, like, when there's no show depicting Muslims, and this is what you decide. Yeah. And, like, you sold yourself after he was like, hey, Muslim, like, his comedy was like, hey, I love my religion, I love this, you know, I don't see why I have to cater. Yeah. But you're catering just to be like, hey, we're like this drama goes on, and I'm like, I don't mind it, but it's just like, there's nothing that depicts Muslims in the right way in the media. Yeah. I never seen one movie depicting Muslims in the right way. It's either like stuff that doesn't exist in Islam, which is like in one movie. What's that one with? It's a horrible movie, but it was like with not Steven Seagal, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're like in prison, whatever. Okay. They had a Muslim, whatever. They had a Muslim, and he's like, they're like, they wanted him to snitch. Okay. So he's like, what do you want? He's like, yeah, I would like to pray on top of the deck because they're like in a boat or something, a jail boat. Yeah. So my God can see me. Yeah. You're like, that's not even a Muslim perspective. Like, God sees you no matter where you are under Islam, whether you're a hole in the ground or you're in the sky. Right. So it's just this. Do you think that comes from an intentional, like? I think it's we're just gonna do whatever, or do you think it comes from just ignorance, just like I have no idea? Some of it is intentional, like especially when they're like depicting war. Like, well, that makes sense. Like even Syria, before the Syria fiasco was coming on, you would hear in the media like stories about Syria, like in the like shows like NCIS, whatever. Like it seems like almost that they're preparing you for something. Sure, it just seems that way. I'm not saying it is. Yeah. Like, I could see why somebody would like a conspiracy mindset would be like, yeah, you know, this is what's going on. Well, that's the thing is, especially in the modern United States, any movie made that's going to have a Muslim character, they're going to be like, we got to angle this way or that way,
because of the modern American like heavily Islamophobic atmosphere. And that's like, I don't know, it's fucked up, but it is why I think that like, they don't. No filmmaker is going to say, I'm going to do all the research to make a really accurate portrayal, because they know it's not worth it, because people are going to hate that character no matter what.
It's because there's only two types of Muslims shown. Either the like the most westernized, quote unquote westernized, like to where it's like non-practicing.
Yeah.
Or it's that extremist.
Yeah.
That oppressive extremist. And it's the girl that's rebellious that wants to do something. That's the only thing that exists.
Especially like, I don't know, I'm Christian and I grew up Christian parents, and like there's a lot of Christian media where especially that stereotype of the rebellious Muslim girl is always someone who converts to Christianity. And it's like, it took me until I was an adult and could really think for myself to realize like how damaging and bad that image is, because it's been glorified as like anyone who leaves their parents' religion is, you know, a hero. And it's always an impressionable young Muslim girl. That's across the board.
It's the same thing they do with Catholic schoolgirls.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows that what's it called? The stereotype is those chicks are freaks.
Right.
But that's what the media presents. Yeah, maybe that exists, but the majority are probably just girls that just go about their life, follow the rules maybe, and grow up to be whatever.
Exactly.
But they just want to focus on that. And the same thing, man, it's just weird. I just don't like... My thing is like, I don't know why Muslims are not more...
accurately represented.
Not even that. I don't know why Muslims are not more upset.
Huh.
I just think because we have what's his name said, Hassan Minhaj was like, this is a tax we have to deal with for being here.
Huh.
So I feel like Muslims, like some Muslims don't really feel full American. So they're like, hey man, we'll be here. This is the minimum. We come from countries where like we can get taken or we can get beheaded or whatever.
Sure.
So this is the bare minimum. We can handle that.
Yeah, which is shitty. I don't know. It's tragic. It's just, yeah, I don't know. And I think it happens to other communities, especially like the Hispanic community in the last
Hispanic,
few years.
Indian community.
Yeah.
Most movies you'd see Indian girl with like either a black guy or a white guy. It's like you never see like a couple.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Even it's...
But again, that goes back to everything being an advertisement, because the marketability, right now we're at peak marketability of interracial couples, and what that means is that Hollywood will say, we'll compromise and we'll give you like one white person and then one other person of another race, and that's like,
that's what I'm like. It seems there's like a cap on minorities. Either the movie is all about like this group, like African American movies. It's either all African Americans in the movie or one.
Yeah. Yep.
There's
no middle ground.
That's my joke about the recent Fantastic Four is because they made Human Torch, Michael B. Jordan, and they made, I forgot the actress. They made Invisible Girl, whatever her name is. A girl which the father adopted, and they have this weird relationship. It's not even brotherly. Yeah. And he was like pissed because his dad liked this prodigy student. So I'm like, bro, why didn't you just make them both black?
Yeah, that is one of the dumbest examples of that. Where you could easily have made Susan Storm black.
Yeah.
Or if you want to keep the two siblings, fine. Make Reed Richards black.
Make them both.
Anybody, you can mix it up, or you can have whatever. It's just it's dumb that we talk about movies being like, oh, they're gonna remake it like with I mean, it kind of happens with gender where it's like, oh, we're gonna make like a female Ghostbusters movie, or we're gonna make
that's
whatever.
My thing is like that's what they ruined with the like we can talk about that too, because that's what they ruined with the Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
the movie wasn't that bad. I mean, the ghost, whatever, the storyline could have been a little better, but. Yeah, so like
had they made the plot that it's their daughters and it's like it's a new generation, which I think they're doing with that upcoming one. That they're kind of taking back in the universe. It'd be killer, and I don't think there's anybody out there other than really dumb people, right, who is genuinely upset that the characters are all female.
I know.
The issue that people have is that they know when it's announced as the all female version, they are going to rely solely on that fact, and they're not going to write a good story.
That's the problem. The problem is, I think they realize, like, I think it's not to make a good, like what we said, it's not to make a good movie. It's just to make a movie that would sell.
And it would be exactly the same thing if somebody was like, oh, we're going to make an all-male remix of Pitch Perfect, and it's going to be all guys on the thing, right? Nobody wants to see that because they know...
Or traveling of the... the traveling of the... What's it called?
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Brotherhood of the Traveling Shorts.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows, okay, well, you're doing this just to have it be all guys. The story's not going to be good. Exactly. And it wouldn't be. So...
That's my thing is like... But it's like people when they say, oh, we should make a black Superman or a black Batman. I'm like, but what does that do to the story? Like, you got to give me a story. Like, if it was Batman Beyond,
yeah,
I'd be like, I'll be all for it.
Honestly, they've talked about doing a black Superman, and if they did that and they wrote a story that was about the unique black experience in America and being Superman, I am so in. The issue is, I already know that's not going to be the case.
The thing is, you got to go from Krypton.
Sure.
I got to see his parents.
Right.
Black. But the thing is like...
But the thing is, there's
I never
potential.
looked at Superman as white. I looked at him as a Martian.
Yeah.
Like an alien. Like, I didn't really ever look at... Because he was kind of tannish in a weird way in some versions.
Yeah.
Like in the cartoons especially. Like, I never looked at him as white.
Yeah. Well,
in a weird way.
The thing, that you have potential there because Superman's an interesting character to tell a really powerful story. Yeah. If you say, okay, he's from another planet, so he has no concept of race in the terms we do. He comes here, he's black, and that's how he has to live it out. I'm like, awesome. Let's retell the story in a new way.
Or it's a different universe.
Exactly.
If they do a different universe, that would make more sense.
Yep. Make whatever you have to do to make it a good story. That will make it incredible. And then that way you can get a really fantastic actor. You can get a Michael B. Jordan. You could get Idris Elba. You can whoever. You can get anybody who is like a top tier actor. We could get, whatever. It'd be the same way where I wouldn't be mad at all if they made an Old Man Logan movie with Denzel Washington, right? Because I'd be like, okay, there's nothing intrinsic about a guy with claws that means he has to be white. If you can tell a good story,
I need the whole backstory.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. I can't have, even Bruce Wayne.
Uh-huh.
Like, Bruce Wayne is too whiny to me for it to be a black guy.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a lot of struggles African Americans go through. So I'm like, I don't mean to, like, stereotype, but, like, there is struggles. Like, his parents dying, that's like...
Well, it's not even that. I think
being
what
a billionaire,
is his...
I think like an African American, like, in America, could move past his parents being killed.
Yeah.
And be a billionaire.
Sure.
But, like, it's just like... It just seems like, hey, nothing's enough. I'm a billionaire, but I'm still stuck on this one thing.
Right.
Is inherently...
And anybody whose race is intrinsic to what makes their character function, I think it's important that stay like that. The problem is there are so few characters like that, and people pretend every character is like that, but it's really not the case.
No.
A great example is Luke Cage, right? His race is not that intrinsic to his character. I think it's helpful for his character because it adds some struggle and some tension to who he is. But if you made another movie about a bulletproof guy from the streets and he was, indestructible and he could fight crime, it's like, it's just a guy. The point should be his powers, his power set. But you have characters where, like, their race is intrinsic to who they are. And that Black Panther, obviously, is the biggest example of that. You can't cast a white guy as Black Panther because the whole point is his heritage and his power set and what he does.
That's disrespectful right there.
Right. So when it's intrinsic to the character, then you have to preserve it.
Exactly.
But if it's not, please tell a new story, even if it switches the race.
That's why I was like, if they do a Batman Beyond, or they explain that this is a different multiverse, and this Batman had to go through this
story. This
story.
Yep.
Which is, I think would be good. Like, I don't, like, but my thing is, like, it's the idea that you're casting this person because he's black, not because he deserves the role.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, we're doing a black whatever just because of that. Or we're doing an Asian whatever just because of that. Or we're doing an Arab whatever just because that's your selling point to sell the movie.
Right.
Is what I don't like.
So then this circles all the way back because doing a second Space Jam because it's just LeBron in Space Jam is so much worse than doing a second Space Jam because we have a really compelling story to tell and it involves LeBron James. Had they done that, would have been a hell of a lot better movie.
Yeah, I think if they made, the problem, the dialogue wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a transition to one thing.
Yeah.
If they would have just a little more effort.
Yeah.
And it would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move past this.
So, commercialism in movies.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos went to space and came back, sadly.
No, I wouldn't. I don't want to be that rough on him.
No,
I know you're just teasing. What was the other dude? The first dude that went?
Yeah, Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. So, none of them actually went to space. That's the thing is.
Right. The funniest thing about Richard Branson is I'm like, imagine you're a billionaire. You're like, I'm going to fly myself to space or as close as I can get to it. I'm going to spend billions of dollars. I'm going to do this and that. And you can't think past the fact that you're going up in a huge rocket that just says Virgin on the side. Like, how great is that?
Okay.
It's just like, I'm so proud of what I've built, and I'm just going to proudly label myself Virgin as I go to space.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous. But
it's not even that, bro. Jeff Bezos. My guy. All that money. And you made your ship look like a penis?
Yeah.
Like, it literally looks like a dick.
That is proof to me that Bezos has absolutely no one at all of anything he's involved in who looks at him and talks to him honestly and says, hey, listen, you need to change this.
Dude, if I worked there, I would have been like, come on, man. Make it pointy.
But also,
I mean, there's thousands of other designs.
There's an incredible...
We're not even going to space. So what's the point?
Cone, make it anything else.
Dude, make it a saucer, bro. Like, come on. You're a billionaire.
There's a great George Carlin stand-up bit from the 70s or 80s where he talks about how all war is inherently about dicks. And how that's why rockets and bullets and, whatever, everything looks like a dick because it's men out there trying to prove that they have the biggest dick. So rockets and
kind of does make sense.
And everything is about this.
I've thought about it kind of like that.
Yeah, and it's funny. But then I was thinking about it with Branson racing Bezos to space and trying to be the first one there, and Musk has kind of done the same thing and whatever. It literally is that. That's probably why Jeff Bezos did that. He was like, well, I got to show him that I have the bigger dick. I'm going to space.
And a little dick.
Yeah, and he, of course he lost.
Like
but
my
he didn't.
guy, bro. Like, this thing literally looks like a dick.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, but they pulled it off. They made it back to Earth. And
but they didn't. Like, they kind of went a little further than what's called. They didn't actually go into space. Which is just like the weird thing is like billionaires would have all this hype. Like, hey, we're going to do this and this. Then like, we can't actually make it that far.
Yeah, they do a really shitty version. Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like they kind of cheated us. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, technically, we were high. But technically, you weren't in space.
Well, and he's up there with an 18-year-old kid for no reason. Other than that kid's parents have a lot of money.
They paid for the trip.
Yeah. Which is just ludicrous. I think what I find really actually troubling about it is when we have government programs or even private programs. I don't think SpaceX is doing all bad things. That are scientific and that are exploration and are like, we're going to go to space to learn something, to put a satellite that will track this or that will send a probe out into space, whatever. We want to be in favor of that because that's going to move society forward. That's going to move our species forward out into the stars. To be some 18-year-old, trust fund kid who's just going to go fly up in space and come down and then whatever, never... Just fuck off for the rest of his life and not have to ever worry about anything. Or to be Bezos and basically after, I mean, we were going to talk about this, but the fact that when he came down, he was like, thanks to all the Amazon workers. It's like people fucking dying in your factories and warehouses and you're coming back down being like, hey, thanks everybody. I got to go do nothing in space for 10 minutes. Yeah, he was
like, thank you for the customers and the workers. You guys paid for this.
Yeah.
But it's like, you forgot another group, the taxpayer, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yep.
So my thing is like, how come you never mentioned the taxpayer when we bailed you out of your what's it called? What is it? Blue Ocean?
I don't remember the name.
What's the name? Don't even look it up. Screw it. I don't want to give him no advertisement. I think, what is it?
Yeah, his failed.
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin. Yeah.
Blue Origin. Yeah. When it failed, even though he's a billionaire, he still let the government bail him out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, how come you never think that? And the taxpayer pays for his stuff to get shipped by USPCS. Is that right? United States
I think
Postal
so.
Service. Yeah, USPS. And I'm like, so now you want to, what's it called? Thank only your workers, you son of a bitch? No taxpayers?
It's ridiculous.
But the way he said it was creepy.
I know. I
like he was gloating.
Super
like,
villain.
Ha ha ha, you paid for this, you dumb fucks.
Yep. No, I mean, he's like a super villain. It's the thing is, other billionaires, I mean, specifically like Musk tries to be relatable with memes and whatever. It's still stupid, but he tries to. And then Bill Gates tries to like give to charities and do whatever. All of it's still an act, but you got to respect that they try to do PR. Jeff Bezos does not do PR. He does not do PR.
I respect it more. He's like, I'm a billionaire and I don't care about anybody.
Right. And it's not like good. It's obviously like morally corrupt to have
chick
that
wants
much money.
half of my money. I'm gonna marry this slightly better looking lady. Not really.
But it's morally corrupt to have that much money and not do the right thing with it. But
it's better than
he
him.
does not care.
It's better than lying.
I know.
Lying and putting them in BS, bro. I'm about to go on my rant, bro. Tell me one thing these billionaires fixed. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, she was like she donated $5 billion. Bitch, where?
Yeah.
Bitch,
well,
where?
And also $5 billion of $50 billion.
That's fine. $5 billion is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Bitch, where? What did you fix?
Yeah.
Flint still doesn't have water. Dude, I wish I could turn overnight a billionaire. The first thing I would do is fix Flint water.
Yeah.
First thing. You know why? And I'm gonna be like, listen, I didn't do it for gratitude. I did it for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, what was the selfish? To prove these billionaires are assholes.
Right.
And they're lying.
Yeah.
They don't fix nothing. Name one thing. They donate all these $1 billion supposedly. Mm-hmm. So when by people, I know people are gonna be upset and feminists like, oh, why are you calling her a bitch? When I say bitch, I don't mean her literally. I just mean bitch.
It's the concept. It's anybody, regardless of gender
because
or race, whatever. If you have that much money.
Even Jeff Bezos when he says he's donating, bitch, where?
Yeah.
That's gonna be my T-shirts coming out soon.
Well, the issue is, right, like there are the crises around the world that get a lot of press. There's the Flint water crisis. There's whatever. There's islands of trash. There's oil spills. There's whatever. And then there are other issues that are more long-standing, long-term relief efforts you can donate to. It doesn't seem like their money goes to either. Right? It's not like he's like, oh, I didn't give to fix the trash island, but I did give to, an AIDS relief program, or I did give to this homeless shelter organization, or I did give. The money just evaporates, and then he writes it off on his taxes, so he doesn't pay any.
I think the problem with it is also like they're always doing a thing that's like almost unsolvable.
Right.
Like cancer research.
Sure.
Like, dude, I'm all for cancer research, right?
Yeah.
But there's people literally dying from poison water.
Yeah, you have to go. Yeah, it's one of those. That's where it gets tricky. But the issue too is with that, they'll be like, "Oh, I donated to Susan G. Komen," and that's like the most corrupt charity ever.
Yeah.
So then even on the surface, like, okay, well, there's no.
I think Hassan Minhaj on his Netflix show explained it. Kind of is like basically they put this money into like a trust, so it can't be taxed and it can't be touched, and they'll just store it there under a charity.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. Even though I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, yeah, she married she's dating or engaged to a regular teacher or something. Jeff Bezos' wife, whatever her name is, and that shows you how much I care about her.
Sure.
I don't even know her name. Look her up, man. So I'm not that disrespectful. Yeah. Look her up.
I want to say.
I thought it was Martha.
Yeah, Martha or Melissa, I think.
Yeah, I want to look her up. Give her I don't mean like.
Yeah, how about this for the editor's sake? For my sake, I'll put a picture of her on screen with her name while we're trying to think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way for her to get around that you have that much money and you haven't fixed immediate crises.
That's all I'm asking. I'm just asking where everybody says, "Oh, I donated $5 billion to this thing." What did you solve? Mm-hmm. Like the Bill Gates Foundation, all they did was give cancer to teenage girls in India or something.
Yeah.
Like they tested this medicine on them. That's all they did. I don't what do you guys fix? He came out with that stupid straw.
Yeah. The other thing though is I think when you have that much money and you have enough people on your payroll the way that they do, there is no way to control where every dollar is getting sent. So while it is on that billionaire to make sure that their money is allocated properly, they also have a lot of people who just smell money around them who are very quick to take money and say, "Oh yeah, don't worry, I'm your financial advisor, I'm your accountant, and whatever. I'll handle this," and then they can do whatever they want.
That's
and
true.
There's so much money that billionaire can't track every dollar themselves.
100%. I'm not saying but I'm saying if I'm like, hey, I want to donate $5 billion. Mm-hmm. I want to see results.
Yeah.
Give me $5 billion. You know what I would do? I'd find a city. The problem is don't try to fix the whole world.
Right.
That's the problem what some billionaires pretend to do.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's all front. They want to fix the whole world. Mm-hmm. No, focus on one thing. Like, hey, if you're feed the kids in Africa.
Yeah.
You're spreading it too thin. Feed the kids in Nigeria.
Right.
The other person, kids in Cameroon or whatever.
Pick an area.
Focus an area because what they do is we want to feed kids in Africa. Now they're allocating to everything. That causes corruption that they want.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something like 10% gets to the actual poor. Right. Because everybody's paying off salaries, paying off this, paying off that, paying off.
Yeah, money. Anytime you split up money between 100 paychecks, or 100 checks that you cut to go to relief efforts, by the time it makes it to the actual people, they're getting nothing.
Of course.
The easiest way is go hand somebody money, but then the more direct way is just pick an area.
What's
pick
her
a
name?
Space.
Again, Marissa?
It's something like that. It's on the screen. It's up here. We'll just... Right here.
Hey, we'll put her name in. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. Give me $5 billion. I bet you I'll fix something. I would. And I don't even want a salary.
Yeah.
Just to prove a point. Yeah. I don't even want a salary.
You keep like an easy million or two.
No.
Just $1 million. Just to retire.
How much would it take me a year? Give me $100K. Because I'm going to focus on this. I only want $100K.
Yeah.
That way I can pay my bills, whatever. I don't want anything more than that.
Yeah.
Give me $100K and $5 billion, and I'll write a contract that I would not spend anything. I swear to God, I bet you I'll fix some of these issues.
Yeah. And that's the problem with income inequality is that there are a lot of people who absolutely would fix the issues, but the funds just will never,
First of all, you can't, like, down. I'm joking. Don't give me $5 million. I don't want to be corrupted, but no, I'm saying, like, what I would do is just take the time, do my research. I'll have people submit what's it called, and we can verify it. Yeah. Like, go to their houses, whatever, look at their financial records, and go and give people individually money. Yeah. Hey, what's stopping you from making a living? Oh, I need a car. Use car lot.
Yeah.
Buy him a car. Hey, what's going on with you? My husband died and I can't pay for this house. Your house is paid. Can you maintain the house? That's fine.
Sure.
2. You can.
Yeah. That for me, that's always been the biggest motivator in like building personal wealth and financial stability is not to do big things, but to do big things for specific people.
Exactly.
So to take a person who is going through a specific hardship and say, you don't have to deal with that anymore. And I'm at a point, get to a point, ideally financially, where it's like, it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to make me unstable to do this, but now I can fix this problem for you. And just do that once a week, once a month, whatever, as much as you can.
That makes a bigger difference than you lying to us.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, I want to live the kind of life where you have a big funeral, but nobody outside of your city knows about it, right? You have a lot of people that know and care about you and are thankful to you, but you don't have national attention because of that. You just have people who actually care.
That's my thing is, why are you telling me about your donations?
Mm-hmm.
The best way to donate, which I believe, is to do it secretly because it's the feel good.
Yep.
Like there was one of our imams or something. I think imam. His name is Ali ibn al-Hussein. This Ali, son of Hussein. He was one of the descendants of the Prophet. So a guy would go out and do charity work. Some dude grabbed my hand. And he was like, "Thank you." He's like, "No, thank you for giving me the opportunity to donate because you gave me that good feeling."
Mm-hmm.
So my issue with it is I believe there's certain amount of people that donate for like the glory of it, and I don't mind it.
Right.
I don't mind it. You know why? Because what happened during COVID? So in Iraq, I was in Iraq during COVID.
Okay.
There was people that were donating and taking pictures of it for like people that were out of work, like whatever, and everybody was like, "Oh, you're just doing it for the gram. You just." So I'm sitting there like everybody, like we have people that are debate, like, "Hey, this group is doing it for political reasons. This person's doing that." So I was sitting there like I got friends that were arguing. I'm like, "Yeah, but is the poorest getting food?"
Right.
They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's important."
Yeah.
I don't mind you glorifying and doing it for nefarious reasons, as long as the poor is actually getting.
Yeah.
Or the person in need actually gets it.
It's the influencer or rich person who goes and pretends to scoop out soup for the homeless and then walks away as soon as the picture's over and doesn't actually scoop anything.
No, but if you did that fake BS and you donated $10,000 or $1 million, I'm fine with that. Do your fake thing and do it for publicity. I don't mind it, as long as the person that's in need gets it, because that person does not care.
Yeah.
He's at a point in his life where he's like, "Hey man, what do you want? I'll just give me." So that's the thing is, and I believe this is one of my hardships too, is I don't understand in a country like America with our economy that they put down the drain. There's poor people here, and the problem is people don't realize this. City is different. Like Michigan, kind of is good on welfare and stuff.
Yeah, but
you go to Appalachia or the meth belt. Like these old coal miner towns and everything, they can't even get that.
Right.
They don't have the option to
Right.
get that, and they're just
and
poor.
and the fact that there are people with enough money, liquid cash, not only stock options, because people like to talk about billionaires. It's not all liquid cash. It's like, sure, I get that. Maybe instead of 500 billion, you only have 100 billion in liquid cash, or you only have $1 billion in. It doesn't matter. Once you hit a certain threshold where you can do it, you are now. It's morally reprehensible to not do anything. And they have a liquid cash that would not be significant enough to any person. You can't spend it fast enough.
No,
you know.
The other thing is like, how much is enough? Like, listen, I believe from a legal standpoint, you should make as much as you can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't care about that.
And you should also spare. I don't believe, and I think that there's really. It's dumb to say, but I don't really believe in the idea of owning too many things or having too nice a life. If you want to build yourself the biggest mansion that has ever existed, sure, go wild. But we are at an economic point where there is more money in your bank account than you can possibly spend.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets morally reprehensible.
Yeah, like we're talking about from a moral standpoint. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't think the government should get involved on how much person make. I don't believe there should be a cap. I don't even believe I should force you to donate.
Right.
And or guilt you to donate. Don't donate, but be real about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fake donate. So my issue with it is like this: how much is enough?
Yeah.
Like, how much is enough? Like, I can understand your company being worth this amount and you need this to keep your company these billions of dollars, but your personal amount. Because whatever, Jeff Bezos, 100 whatever billion, that's his personal amount. That's not what his company is worth.
Right.
So my thing is like, that 100, how much is enough? You can buy whatever you want. And the problem is, you're not going to have power. Because there's a ruler in Saudi Arabia or a government official who has the intelligence that can lock you up away.
Yeah.
And all your money is gone.
Right.
But what you leave is what you do for people. Is there a person that prays like, hey, like can Jeff Bezos say, and if he can, he might be able to, that somebody says, thank you for Jeff Bezos, you've changed my life.
Right.
That's my only issue is. My issue is, when is it going to be enough? And when do you say it's enough? I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to be enough for these billionaires because they're in a different game. The issue is that they're in competition with other billionaires. So they're kind of in a world, like, we share the same earth, but we don't necessarily share the same world.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, so I believe they're in another world where it's a thing where it's like they're doing it for other billionaires. It's like kind of how women do like extended nails.
Sure.
Like, men don't really care about it, but it's like a thing women like to do in front of each other, but men can never understand it. Now I believe there's a thing that billionaires live up to, an expectation they live up to inside their own community, because they are kind of community, like, hey, this guy bought this yacht, and it's like that weird thing.
The thing is, when you're at a billionaire level, we don't even think of it. There are factors and things in place where you have power that you can say, whatever. Jeff Bezos could say, I don't ever want to be in the same room as anyone who makes less than $1 million a year. And he just says that out loud. There are enough people on his bankroll that he now never has to step into a room with someone who doesn't make $1 million a year. And that's a very low threshold for him, right? He can. I remember someone joking about this, but it's stupid. But about Oprah, and they said it's a comedian. I don't remember who the comedian is, but he said how in the world can Oprah be fat? She could pay somebody to swat food away from her mouth every single day. Who is? I think it might be Bill Burr or somebody does that.
It was somebody in Amy. No, it was a female comedian.
Okay.
It was a female comedian. Then I remember because Amy Schumer
ripped it off
in her sketch.
That's
I don't know
right.
necessarily if it was her personally. It might have been her writing staff. But that was a joke. It was a female comedian. I forgot who it was.
I don't remember who it is. But they said that, or they're like, she could pay somebody to lift up her legs and run for her, right? Like,
was it Chappelle?
It sounds like a Chappelle joke, but I don't know. But I think of that, I'm like, that is actually a very real thing that she and any other person who is any billionaire,
she's a billionaire. Like not to say she does this, but she's so famous, and what's it called? Like, she has a partner that nobody, or boyfriend or whatever, that nobody really cares about.
Right.
And like, I thought honestly, for years I thought her and Gail were a thing.
Yeah.
But it turns out like she's been seeing this one guy for years, but it's the thing about it is like, she's rich. Like, there's no incentive for her to really lose weight. You know?
Yeah.
There's really no incentive. It's just that's a thing that comes from within.
Right.
Like Jeff Bezos got. He got on all the TRT.
Yeah, he got a little. Yeah, his face is looking real puffy. He looking like he. Looking like.
But at least he's trying.
He's paying for the.
I don't know what he does about his sniper eye. I didn't come up with that. Never heard that before?
No.
Shout out to a comedian named Brendan Schaub. He has a podcast. I took it from him. So I don't want people to think like I made it up. Yeah.
That's good.
But the thing is like, I don't know what these billionaires, but my only thing is, I just don't see where, like, I'm waiting for one billionaire to actually fix a problem. Maybe I'm ignorant.
Yeah, I don't think. I think it would be the biggest PR moment ever if they did. If a billionaire said, "Hey, I'm gonna snap my fingers and tomorrow Flint has water."
I just think it's the idea like, hey, these people are looking out for us, or hey, they're not that bad. They are donating. That we don't think to like ask any further questions. Because I remember what's her name. I could put her name up. Jeff Bezos' wife. This is gonna sound so ignorant, and I'm gonna hate it, but whatever. Look her up, man. So at least we can get her name one point in this podcast.
I like that it's gonna be edited in the whole time, so we'll just look fucking stupid the entire time.
Yeah, but just put it at the last thing. I think I'm gonna. Is it Melissa? Isn't it Melissa Gates? Martha Gates? Ex-wife.
Let's see. Mackenzie
Scott.
Oh, there is no way.
And we had it right that it started with an M.
There is no way I would have got that.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Scott. God bless you. I'm not saying she didn't donate that $5 billion.
Yeah.
She might have, but I'm saying is, if you're going to be a billionaire, you owe it to yourself, right? Maybe she has I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. I did talk a lot of shit, but just for this last segment, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
But you got to be better because writing a check is not enough. It should be.
Yeah.
But it's not, because if you actually donated $5 billion, $100 billion, whatever, you should what's it called? Do the due diligence or hire somebody you can trust
to make sure it gets allocated properly.
It gets allocated right, because
otherwise it's just PR.
Or it's just like, hey, you donate $5 billion, people put it in their pocket, and whatever your intentions didn't go through.
Right.
And that's how I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. But the other thing is, I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
I really don't. And nobody's that good to give. And another thing before we end it, the people that say, hey, I'm gonna donate all my wealth after I die.
Sure.
Why?
Right. That's George Washington freeing his slaves after he died. You're like, come on, bro.
Hey guys, just a little editor's note to let you know here. We're still working out the bugs on making this podcast and this show for you. We, in this next section, talk about George Washington and freeing his slaves. After researching after the show, it turns out we were wrong. We did not get the details correct on the ownership of his slaves. So just want to clarify, please do your own research in this. Even after, when we were finding the real answers, there was still kind of some he said, she said, and confusion about that. So please look it up yourself. Find what's actually true. We don't want to be the source on the history of, the slave experience and just the horrible things from that time. So we still say that there's a lot of issues with the Founding Fathers and George Washington specifically for his handling of slaves. We just want to make sure that you also get the details from the right place. So yeah, that's it. Thanks.
You want the benefit now, and then when you're dead, you're like, what do I care?
George Washington did that?
Yeah, he said all my slaves can go free after I die.
You know why?
Then fuck you.
No. You know what it is? Praise him to being the founder father or whatever.
Sure.
Fuck George Washington for that.
Yeah.
Because what it is it's not because he liked them.
No, exactly. It's
you know what it is?
Because
he didn't want anybody else to have the slaves.
Exactly. No, it's
That's
that.
What it is.
It's I want the benefit of this, even though I know it's wrong. And then when I die, I won't be here to deal with the repercussions. So then they can all do whatever they want.
This is messed up. It's like the guy that has cancer, but told everybody he's dying of AIDS, so nobody marries his wife. That's what it is. George Washington, you fucked up, bro.
It's true.
It's true. So that's what it is. I thought it was like, oh, he liked them and they were nice.
No. After he died.
He was just like, hey, if I don't need their service, nobody can have their service. Not even Martha Washington.
Yep.
You sick son of a bitch. Now she's over there doing the dishes on herself by herself after you died.
Which she should have been doing because he shouldn't have had slaves. Or
I'm just saying, at the time there were slaves, you didn't think about your wife. You're sexist.
Exactly.
You're a racist and you're a sexist.
Yeah, I think pretty much anybody from that time. Absolutely.
I mean, pretty much. But it's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, at least some people got freed, I guess.
Yeah.
But still, their life was still
died.
crap.
Exactly.
Dude,
It's
how
like,
many think you stayed free?
I mean, I
It's probably
think a
Takri,
lot.
right? 'Cause he
And depending on how he did it legally, who fucking knows? It was such a horrible time for anybody.
Another thought of it. What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He freed them and didn't even give them money.
Exactly. So he basically doomed them
basically made
probably
them
to
homeless.
death. Had he said, after I die, Mount Vernon is now given to the slaves. No, he shouldn't even fucking wait until he died. But he could have at any point started paying them or given them property and money. And he could have done anything.
Oh my God.
But now he had no
How
responsibility.
evil, bro. So he didn't only free them, he made them homeless.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's our conclusion for today. Fuck George Washington.
He still looks good on the coin.
That's his one saving grace. His portrait on the coins and the dollar bills. Whew, incredible.
That's why I say, like, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. I mean, there was horrible people back then.
There's horrible
he did
people.
some good.
Yeah. There's
And he
horrible
did a lot
people
of
in
bad.
every area. In every era, there's terrible people. We just have to move on and get better.
Move on.
Yeah.
I mean, we could say that, but not the people that suffered under
Well,
him.
no, and that's what I mean. Obviously,
Dude, oh my God.
horrendous.
If I was ever a descendant of those slaves.
I'd be finding little, Derek Washington today,
Ooh,
beating
no.
the shit out of him.
Dude, I swear to God, bro. I will sue the United States government.
You're like, listen, I have leverage here. Yeah.
He waited till he died, and he made my grandparents, great-great-great-great-great-grandparents
It's
homeless.
not. That's the thing too. That's fucked up. It's
know.
not that many generations. It's like 3.
But it's just weird because it's like such an asshole move. Like, it's not that he liked them, because now I'm just realizing, like, it's not that he liked them.
No.
It's like, he was like, nobody can have you, which is sad to think about a human being.
Yep.
But that's not, it's like even deeper than that, and you're homeless now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Fucked up.
What?
It's just. Yeah.
And they couldn't get work, because they
No.
can't work for a living. So
No.
they probably ended up...
I think there were some areas in the States at the time where they may have been able to, and some of them
for like
far
pennies,
north stuff.
which would've
but
been a lot
again,
back then.
yeah, it was a miserable existence that he had made them live through, and then after he died, that he continued to make them live through. So, just terrible. Damn. Yeah. So that's our conclusion.
So thank you guys. We'll if you guys can look us up, we're gonna have it on the bottom. Instagram with RG the podcast, and our Patreon is gonna be up in a while once we, if you guys like and subscribe. And we're probably and we got Twitter, Roomy's Garage Podcast. What else do we have?
Twitter, Instagram. I mean, you can.
Yeah, we're gonna have them all at the bottom.
In the description of this episode, you'll see the link tree, which will link you to everything. So just hit that and check us out. My camera died, so I'm just talking from the shadows here.
So thank you guys, and have a blessed day.
See ya.
See ya.